Okay, we're dealing with these here now. It's page 13, front suspension build, step 1. These steering blocks are kind of a letdown. They're not square. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but it's not square. If it was more square, we may have to do a little shimming on the caster hubs, but that's okay. I wouldn't mind that, actually. But what I do is I like to sand the top of that little L that sticks off. I like to sand that down a little bit, and what it does is when you put the hat bushings in there, it frees this up so that when you put your caster hubs on, it'll fit in there freer. It's not going to be square no matter what we do, unless we take a round file and make the hole square. That's the only way you're going to get it square. So what I do to fix this little problem and free it up just a little bit, so it takes too long for it to work loose, to free up. So what I do is I just take a piece of sandpaper and I put it on there like that, on the corner of my board, and I hang it off the edge, and I just kind of push down and against the board, and I just go like this. And it just sands it down. This is 180 grit sandpaper, and what that does is it helps me keep it square with the back of this, and I can keep it pretty flat when I'm sanding it. I do the top. This one I did just a little bit on the bottom. Same with the other one. I do them both the same way. A little bit on the bottom, a little bit on the top. And after a couple weeks, it'll be good and freed up. And it'll get loose and a little sloppy. And then I just take some shims and shim it up. And it's usually good to go after that. No problems. But that's how I sand it down. I just put a little sandpaper on there and just go like that with her. It helps me keep it square, and this becomes more flat when you sand it. This, instead of sanding it at an angle down this way, you're actually sanding it at an angle square with the back of the steering block, and it kind of helps keep everything square. So, be right back. Okay, there ain't a whole lot to this right here. Just gonna put your lock nut right here, and you're gonna screw the silver long ball stud into it. Now, when I run super softs on the front of my car, I like to put a washer on here and take away some of the bump steer. Helps me a little bit in the apex. When I run the soft, I just go box stock. Feels pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and go box stock with this one, because I'm playing around with the soft front tires right now. And I'd say a happy medium on our track is no washer there. Oh, I got that bushing in there. Let me get them out of there. Just put that on there like that. Snug her down. Don't got to use no Loctite. Those are lock nuts. There's that. We're going to drop the 3/8 bearing in there. I'm going to drop the crush tube in there, and then we're going to put the next 3/8 on there. No big mod to this other than just sanding it down a little bit. Give this thing a little bit of room to fit in there with your hat bushings. Put our bearing in here. when we get to this step, we know we're getting pretty close to time to put some electronics on. After the shocks will be set. So there you have that. Got your crush tube in there, your bearings in there. It's all set and ready for page 14. That was bag M, by the way, in case you want to know. And in case you guys are wondering, that CVD, boy, that baby was glued in there pretty good. But look at it, it's working good now. What I did is I oiled it real good and heated it up with a lighter, and then it just fell apart. So it was a lot quicker and easier way to do it than letting it soak in some petroleum jelly or oil overnight. I just heated it up with a lighter, popped the ring off, took it all apart, and greased her up, put her back together, greased her up, and she's ready to go. In case you ever have that problem, I'll be right back. Okay, we're on to, this is continued on to page 14. Real simple, you're just going to run your axle in there, and you're going to drop your hex on there, your front 9mm hexes, or 9.5, I think they're 9.5 millimeters. Then you're going to take your roll pin and you're going to drop it in there. This is a slotted roll pin that actually has some pressure to it when it fits. And there you have it. That baby right there is ready to roll. We just got to put our casters on there, our caster blocks, but we'll go ahead and do this other one real quick. And this is your front, so you got to be sure to use, you really can't mess up with the axle. You'll know right away. This is the short one, but you got to have the long bone on there. Put that like so. Where's that roll pin? There it is. Drop her in, press it in, get her nice and even, and there you have it. After this breaks in a little bit, you might end up with a little bit of play to where you're going to want to put a washer back there. Doesn't hurt anything, but for the most part, when you tighten it down, this all gets sucked back, and the wheel gets sucked back, and you can run them pretty tight without worrying about it. Pushing the wheel, when you tighten down the nut, you don't got to worry about it pushing the wheel against it. It's pretty, tolerance is pretty good. And there you have it. This right here will be your right side, and this right here will be the left side. So we're looking at the we're looking at the, let's see, this here is the front of the car pointing away from us. What do we got here? This will be the left and this will be the right. Got a little mark underneath there that tells you what it is. There you go. Now let's move on to the caster blocks. I'll be right back. Okay, now Kevin RC caught this. This part of the build has always got me cross-eyed. Drives me nuts. And he pointed out that on the page here it shows a right and a left. And this is the left one and this is the right one, but it's disoriented from left and right, because when you go to put it together down here, it disorients you a little bit because they've got it backwards, left and right. It's showing the right with this right one pretty much, it's just backwards. This is actually your left. So that was a good catch. You want to keep an eye on that. But the good news is we're going to do it right here on on the pit board, and it's going to be a little easier, and we won't be so disoriented, or we'll be more disoriented. So anywho, this is the left caster block. This is the left steering block. And what we're going to do is this is going to go on like this. This little tab goes inward towards the chassis. So we know it's going to slide on like this and just go right like that. So we know the ball stud has to be facing the front shock tower. So we're going to just turn it to a little bit like that and screw it in right like so. And we're going to get to do it just the opposite on the right side. And now, after Kevin or C pointed that out, I realized, as many times as I've built this, now I know why I get so dumbfounded when I'm looking at that. I'm like, what in the blue blazes is going on? So that was a good catch, and it also shows that he's really paying attention to his build process, which is a good thing. I'm going to face that just like that. Now this one, we know it's going in this way. We want the ball stud facing the front. That started there. Hopefully this is going to make it easier for all of us. I'll probably come back and review this every once in a while when I build a kit just to make sure I'm doing it right. The last kit I built, I actually had one side of the ball stud on the wrong side. And I was like, how did I do that? That's how twisted that diagram, that illustration will get you. So that's a good catch. And we're still on, what was that, bag M, I believe. All these parts. Now, for the fun part, we got to put these hat bushings in here. We got to get them in there around. I'm going to do it with my tweezers, trying to make it easy. Around that CVD. Drop these in like so. And hopefully they don't come falling out on us when we're trying to put the caster block in. Caster block's going to go in with the, we're on the left side. It's going to go in with the ball stud facing forward, steering block arms facing back towards us. I sanded that down just enough. You can see it fits in there pretty free. Then we're going to take our screws. That's a 440, and it is a, size is that 7/16. We're going to wrench her down. We're not going to want to over tighten these. We're going to want this to stay as free as we can get it. It'll break in and then we can snug it up a little bit more later. But they're in kind of a pinch and at an angle the way these steering blocks are made. And what's sad is the .1 didn't have that problem. Now look at that thing. It won't even hardly turn. So we're just going to, I think the top one's okay. We're going to loosen the bottom one a little bit. We want this here to move pretty free. After a few battery packs, we can tighten it up. It's falling pretty free. You can't move it up and down because it's snug enough right now that it won't move up and down. Now we get to go over here and do it again. Take this little baby right here and drop it in. It's a hat bushing. Do the back bottom side. Come on, get in there. That's aggravating. Sometimes them things will just fall right in, and sometimes they won't go in for nothing. There we go. It's in there now. Okay, we got that. I was going to use the CVA bushing on booty on here. These little Durango ones. So things right here. But it's obvious it's not going to work. It's just going to get snagged up and rub on this and everything. So, we're going to put the caster block on with the ball stud facing forward. And try to pinch that in there so it doesn't allow the hat bushings to fall out. Tighten her down. Don't want to over tighten it. And when you go to put that bottom one in, you'll feel yourself having to pull it back some to get the holes lined up for the threads. Get that just a little bit like so. Loosen this one up. Still a little tight. Now if you can't get this thing loose, then you're going to be having to go in there and sand it down a little bit more. Hopefully I sanded it enough here. Nope. I have to go through and sand that a little bit more. That's a bummer. Let's see here. It's probably... Nah, you know what? It's loose enough. I think I can get by without it. Yeah, we're going to try to get by without it. I don't want to have to take that thing all apart again. See what happens here. Yeah, it's a little tight, so you've seen how to sand them. My left one's just fine. It's ready to go. The right one's a little too tight. I'm going to have to sand this right across here just a little bit more. Try to square it up just a little bit more. And then I can put this on here and get this moving a little more free. It'll break in, but my servo is going to be having to do all the work to get it back to center, and I want it to be freer than that. So, come this far with it, I might as well do it right. So I'm going to get that sanded, get it put back together, but at least you've seen the procedure to put it together. Got your left and your right, and then I'll come back and we'll throw it on the A-arms and move on to the next part, which will be the rear. Talk to you in a bit. Okay, let's wrap up page 14 here. Let's get this baby done. Here's the left steering assembly. I don't know if you can see it right here or not, but you see that little nut down in there in this little corner? There's usually a little gusset that kind of sits there, and it's real small. It's what keeps your steering block from turning too far and getting that steering lock. So what I've done is I've drilled a hole there, a 1/16 hole, and I've put the it's a 15 by 1/8 set screw button head for holding your roll pins, your hinge pins in. And I'm hoping this mod's going to fix our little problem with the steering lock. I did some measuring on my old kit, and I thought when I build this one I'm going to go ahead and try it. I just want to point it out to you guys. It's right here. If it works out without breaking the steering arm, I'm going to have some hard crashes, so we're definitely going to find out if it weakens the arm or not. If it does, you'll be some of the first to know. And I just thought you might like to see that. I'll go ahead and whip that on you there. If that works out, our steering lock problem will go away, I hope. But nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and shim this. So we're just going to put this right here. It's a 0.03 shim. Oh, you bugger. This is the fun part right here. Oh. These caster blocks are a little bit sloppy, and I'm going to shim mine to the front. You can see that there. I'm just going to use this L-shaped tool to hold this in place. I'm going to try to do this so you can see. And of course, it's being a booger. Okay, it's in. We got her. This is the left side. The angle of the caster is going away from the shock tower, or following it basically. You can see the angle there. Now to try to keep that shim in there, we're just going to push this through at the same time we're pushing this L piece out. And hopefully that shim's going to stay there for us. Sometimes you got to kind of wiggle it around, get it lined up. Come on. This will make our steering a little bit more stable. I like the way it feels myself with the shim in there. It just feels solid, steady. Come on, baby, be nice. Sometimes it just doesn't want to go. But it will eventually. You just got to get it lined up right. Come on. Oh, it's trying to fall out on me. Hold it up a little bit here and see if that helps. Well, this one just doesn't want to go for some reason. There it went. Got the shim in there. Got the hinge pin in there. That was the goal. Get that thing shimmed up good. That 0.3 works perfect. After it breaks in a little bit, we may want to add a 0.1 or something to it. On my old kit, it was broke in pretty good. It ended up being a 0.4, so I had a 0.3 and a 0.1 in there. And that was kind of tedious. Then you put your set screw in there, and that's good for that. Then you're going to take your front camber link and pop it on. I'm not going to pop it onto the top plate on the front because I want to keep that removable, so when I do my electronics it'll be a little bit easier for me. I can go ahead and do my steering linkage. I want to make sure that these are pointing the same direction. Oh wait, that's not my steering linkage, this one. I want to make sure these are pointing the same direction. on the these little notches on the end of the camber links. I want them pointing the same direction. Pop that on there. Go ahead and pop this one on if it doesn't hurt anything, because we're not going to be pulling any of that off. There's the left side. It's all ready to go. Pop that on and she's ready. Looks like the camber links are pretty close already too, so won't have a whole lot of turning there. Did the same thing with this one. Got the little mod going on. It's going to have that thing turn pretty much perfect. I can shave this down a little bit right here if I want to get a little bit more turn. But the way my measurements are right, it's going to be just right. This outside doesn't turn that far anyway. It just slops around. So let's see if we can make quick work out of this and put a wrap on page 14. Put that in there. Put that right there like so. This one here hopefully is going to go right together for us. Let me get this over here where you can see what I'm doing. These little shims are a booger, especially if you try to do it with your hand on the table. Slide that in there. Slide that through there. Then we'll take the hinge pin, slide it this way. You know, it'd probably be worth taking a little round grinder tip and just grinding that off to a point. It would probably slide through there a lot easier, wouldn't it? May do that next time. Let's get this thing working here. Look at there, that one went right in. That's the way both sides should have went when you're videotaping. Let's put your little set screw in there. Go ahead. Find my camber links here. Put my short steering one on. Won't hurt to put it on. Pop that baby on there. And then the, oh crud, I put it on backwards. Not a problem. I want to keep all these little notches going the same direction. You know how much we hate popping these ball cups off and on. Like to keep them things as nice and tight and secure as we can for as long as possible. So, done screwed that up on this one, but I'm going to have to fix it, of course. Pop her off. Nothing to it. Gotta do what you gotta do. Hopefully these AE ball cups are good ones. We ain't got to worry about it anyway. We can pop them things off and on 20 times if we have to. Here we go. Looks like my camber links are going to be pretty close. It'd be nice if it was dead on, but we know how that usually goes. So there's that. Front suspension's all done. Time to get busy on the rear, and we'll get some shocks built. This thing will be, I believe, ready for some electronics. Talk to you guys later. And don't forget, got to keep your eyeballs on this illustration right here, left and right caster blocks. They got them mixed up. So keep an eye on that. But at least we got this video to refer to now. So talk to you fellas later.